Basically, whenever we are angry, we can say it's not a pleasant experience.
Mm.
In other words, when we are angry, we are not happy. So the Buddha, if he gets angry and then he can control, even for a split second, still he gets angry.
Mm-hmm.
That means even for a split second, Buddha is unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So, sounds like not ideal situation. But is that best situation to hope for? Feel unhappy for just one instant and then recover.
That's right. Because reach such a stage of mind experienced many frustration, anger, like that. And then as a result, enlightenment, he reached that stage. If he did not know anger, he cannot attain enlightenment.
Sensei, so comparing to his question, just to get your insight on it, so does the Buddha, after his Anattara Samyak Sambodhi,
Mhm.
perfect enlightenment, does he still experience anger?
Of course. Because he is a human being. So 1年3000 does show Buddha is a human being. He got uncomfortable. But he quickly controlled. Because he knew why this person angry. So therefore, no need to angry. He will think how to fix this person's problem. He got angry. He cannot find any idea to support him, to save him. So he all the time like a mother. And then, okay, what's happened? So that stands all the time. Otherwise, he, how can I say, impossible to approach enlightenment. Enlightenment means people think we become a superhuman being, nothing any feeling. Not like that. We are human being, keep a regular feeling. But thinking or idea is different. Why we got angry? Because we don't know everything exact. Doesn't make sense. Why? Try to find a reason. So therefore angry. But a person know reason why that happened. And then they will accept.
Plus, isn't it possible that even some aspects of anger have nothing to do with reason, that actually it just is perhaps even chemical or even environmental, all of the different suchnesses? So I remember the phrase you taught to me, as it is, because sometimes anger is not to be rationalized. It's not a rational thought. In explaining, as Kansei was saying, that sometimes it's a chemical reaction, and that to say as it is that anger in as of itself may have no reason behind it, but the Buddha sees the reality of it as it is, and so therefore it isn't reactionary towards just a situation or emotion such as that. Not superhuman, but he can see what it simply is.
So that is, as I mentioned many times, everyone is a different situation, different characters, background, cultures. So I'm not the Buddha, so therefore I cannot advise you exact individual case. Just if happen on my life, and then how will react, and then that base I'm talking to you. So before you are asking, you must have some answer. Your idea. What is your idea? You reached some conclusion. So therefore, or not yet, but even on the way to reach the conclusion, and then you ask me. So show me your idea.
From what you're saying, it sounds like even so, it's impossible for the Buddha not to experience anger, because anger is a natural human emotion and the Buddha is a human. So that makes sense for me. And then this weekend you talked about Buddha nature as like a third person perspective on emotions and anger. So I'm thinking that one, after enlightenment, we still experience anger, but it's a kind of dampened, or it sounds like we're not slightly removed from it, but at least able to not be completely consumed by it, and then, as you say, see it as it is, and then not be taken over by it, because normally anger just takes over the whole mind. So there's with an enlightened mind, there's still some large part of the mind which is in control, versus the small portion of anger, rather than the other way around.
Okay. So if you cannot consume anger, that become a grudge, different type of emotional feelings. So grudge is more very bad. And that time, because of grudge, is like a curved our mind. It's very difficult to remove. Need a time. And also we have a ability to forget. This is very important. Actually, we don't like forget, but forgetting is very important tool for us. But grudge is very difficult to forget. And that time, we have to confront to the grudge and to consumer. Anger is more easy to treat. Just consumer in our mind, but some anger is too big to consumer, and that time takes time. So we will have struggles how to do. And that time we chant and we speak to the Buddha what's going on. And then sooner or later we will reach some conclusion. I don't know that what conclusion make you happy, but so far accept as it is according to your level of enlightenment. So, or think own bad karma, that teaching. So we should try to consume the anger as much as we can. So that is a mental practice. Not only physical practice, but also we should practice mentally as well. And then sometimes speak out to close friends or ministers. That is also helpful. To share with someone, and then the level of anger, sharing someone, and then the level come down. So as much as we can, we try to consume and dissolve. Otherwise, we cannot live our life with some damage. Okay. Sometimes such a person become a minister because he feel life is full of suffering and life is very uncertain. He also say, my life tease me and play with me. I'm very serious, but life guide me very bad all the times. And then abandon or give up the life and then become a minister. Such a person is also available. So actually anger mechanism if someone step on your foot and then you feel pain and then look at the person, and that time he quickly notice and say sorry, and that time you pain 100% pain feel, but you receive the apologize and then drastically down, even though very painful. But the person who stepped your foot did not notice, and then talking with others, your pain is increasing emotionally, and then your feeling is very uncomfortable. Feel like I hit you. Feel like that. So that means our anger level up and down depending on the other person's behaviors. And even pain, different pains. So connect with our emotional feelings. If you feel pain 100%, your feeling, you felt 100% pain. Without apologize, without the person to notice, step your foot. You feel more 120% anger. So if you step back his foot, how many percentage of us strength or power you deteriorate and then feel better? If you feel 100%, of course, at least 100% deterioration need, because I want to show my pain with my action to the person. So therefore 100% at least And then if the person didn't know, he stepped over, and then he said, "Oh, I didn't." If so, more up, retaliation. Why? 100% you felt, and 100% retaliation. We don't feel not enough, because automatically our defense work. I have to show him, if you give me 100% pain, you will receive over 100%. You must not do again. That meaning included into retaliation. So that means 100% you felt. When you retaliate punching, 120% more. And then more, the person's behavior is bad, more up. If I finally, the patient run out, sometime killing start. So this is a mechanism of retaliation. Buddha say, anger cannot stop another anger. Only can stop the anger by patience. Means retaliation cannot stop the fighting. Stop the retaliation. We should know this first. So, feel anger. We cannot consume the anger feeling. How to consume? Retaliate? Not at all. Must not choose that ways. But still remain uncomfortable feelings. How to consume? Up to you. I already mentioned. We have to find your own ways how to consume anger. Because my way and Kanjin's way, Paul's way, Yorun, very different, because different characters. But Buddhism teaches us patience is the most strongest armor and also offense. That means not fighting. Just be patient. So, retaliation, sooner or later, destroy each other. We must not take a retaliation. But when we got angry, the retaliation is a very easy way. Just follow your emotional anger feeling. But if you did that one, worst case, destroy each other. We should know that one. So therefore, as a precept in Buddhism, violence is not proper ways prohibit. Okay.
If I may, I wanted to add something to that. As Sensei is saying, from being a very angry person for a long time of my life, I realized one of the powers of Buddhism is that we have ultimately the difference between us and people who are still in the suffering mind. And through our Buddhist practice, we have a choice. And that choice is how we respond our action. And the Buddha gives us a foolproof response, and that is compassion and patience. And actually, in my own life, I realized that Buddha nature is the only thing that exists, the only permanent thing that exists that cannot be hurt or killed or wounded or embarrassed or angered. And that actually that part of my nature is what I choose to abide in. So when we chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Nichiren Shonin said we are abiding in the Buddha nature. So we have some ability to abide in that, vast, eternal, universal space that actually can consume anything. My personality and my character has a very small amount of space to consume anger or to consume violence or any of that. I have a very small amount of ability. However, because of my lack of ability, because this is an age of Mappo, Buddhism, Buddha nature, my Buddha nature is boundless and vast, that it can take in any amount of anger or any amount of danger or even violence to myself. That is why I rely on the Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, because by myself I cannot have a foolproof ability to respond correctly to those behaviors. And so therefore, the way that I utilize my practice to deal with that is by, as Nichiren Shonin says, wrapping your heart, wrapping your life, putting as Sensei was saying, your top value, your core is a Buddhahood. So that is why at any time, if your core is a Buddhahood, if your core is the Lotus Sutra, you cannot and must not react with violence. That must be the most important stance of a Buddhist, because of violence is a sometimes irreversible action. Even small violence, you can see even as a police officer, someone unintentionally hits someone, can kill them. There's a lot of ways that are unintentional, but it's still considered manslaughter because you reacted out of violence or out of anger. So in my practice, I feel this not only vastness, because of my limited ability, but actually that the Buddha's nature in myself, connected with the Buddha Shakyamuni, is boundless. And that is the only part of my nature that can't be insulted, can't be killed. Because even after this body, which is contained, is done, that Buddha nature lives on. That's the only permanent thing in this universe, is a Buddha nature to me. So therefore I abide in that, and I can endure anything. And even fear, you can train yourself as a martial artist to be able to control some level of fear. And sometimes some martial artists go too far and remove all fear, the majority of fear, which makes you kind of, in a way, incompetent or, non-human. But as a Buddhist, no need to remove those things, because as we see in Ichinen Sanzen, even the hell mind contains a Buddha nature, contains the Buddha realm. So in any situation, Buddha is present, and that Buddha nature is present. So no need to fear. So the sutra says fearlessness. True fearlessness is not found by my thought, I am fearless. That is just my ego, my imagination. But true fearlessness, like a Nichiren Shonin, even at the cost of your life, that is the ultimate belief or faith in the Buddha nature, that you don't even begrudge your life to lose. And at that point, even in the way that when you finally even give up that, you are free. Buddhism talks about it all the time. So that's why the way to connect to Buddha nature in any situation, in any realm, whereas many systems and many religions are bound by certain realms, like heavenly realm or human realm. But we as Buddhists can be in any realm, any state of mind, and be able to see Buddha there. And that way of connecting or seeing the Buddha is the Daimoku. So that's my perspective. Because I have tried everything in my life to lessen anger, to lessen my reaction, to lessen. And actually, when you lessen one, as Tsukamoto Sensei said, the circle, another one grows, right? So when you're not paying attention to hatred, when you're trying to pay attention, okay, I'm going to be much nicer, something else is growing in there. But the way that we have our Buddha seed inside, it grows and expands. Naturally, those other emotions become smaller because we replace that with a Buddha nature. And so therefore Buddha's practice comes down to, from where do we make a choice? Do we make a choice from ourselves? Do we make a choice from our emotions? Do we make a choice from our thoughts? Or do we make a choice from the stance of Buddha nature? And when you abide in Buddha nature, that's why daily life is conditions matter. The conditions don't matter. Rich or poor, wise or stupid, doesn't matter in Buddhism. Because if Buddhism relied on me being wise, that'd be a big problem. I don't know how much that relates to all of you, but as we see really where we are in the world, it's not depreciating me because the Buddha nature is coming from me, but it's not coming from this, and it's not coming from how I perceive things. So that's my practical explanation of how it works for me in my life.
Okay, so this seminar was anger management. There are many ways, variety ways, angers, and also how to endure. And additionally, I like to introduce a Buddha's episode when Buddha taught people. And that time, one person misunderstood Buddha's teaching, and then he came to the Buddha, and then he got angry. But Buddha was just listening, and then the person said, "Buddha, why you did not react to anything, although I complain like this?" And then Buddha understand, oh, this person misunderstood. So therefore he kept silent. And then finally he said, if you prepare some present for your friend, and then you visit your friend, but the friend say, I don't want to accept your present. I don't need that one. At that time, how should treat the present? And then the person, if so, such a situation, the person who bring a present should bring back to your home, his home. And then Buddha said, that's right. Please bring back your anger to your home. Say like this. So this is also good example. When someone angry with you, we must not angry together. That is become more complicated. That time you should use a big container of patience, and then listen, and then okay, back to home. So that is a safer ways, because most of anger cause of pride. That is a big reason. But a person who does not have a pride, no need to anger. I wish to be like that. So therefore, sometime when we discuss about some theme, and then we exchange some opinions, but sometimes we put our pride on my own opinion, and then other person just get rid of it, brush off, and then feel uncomfortable because my pride dropped, ignore, and then got angry. That is not physical happening, physical, how can I say, pain or nothing, but we easy to get angry because of pride. So how to manage anger means how to manage your pride. That is a major point of angry. So through, I think, try to think, what is your pride? Your pride, someone ignore or brush off, but you don't have any physical damage. But I feel like physical damage, and then feel very angry, especially ignore someone, ignore you. That is pride comes up and angry more. So I think how to manage our pride. This is very important. This keyword is in the chapter 20. Never despise bodhisattva.